There is a moment many people remember, even if they never found words for it. It isn't loud, it isn't dramatic, no one is yelling, no one storms out. It's quiet. You're standing there, maybe as a child, maybe as a teenager, maybe as an adult visiting home again. Someone else is being praised, someone else is being noticed, someone else's effort is being celebrated, and suddenly you realize no one is looking at you. Not because you failed, not because you didn't try, but somehow, over time, you became background noise. That moment plants a thought that doesn't leave easily. Maybe I'm just less important. This is the psychological world of the undervalued sibling. And if this feels familiar, it's not because you're weak. It's not because you're dramatic. It's because your nervous system learned something very early that shaped how you see yourself, others, and your place in the world. Undervaluation doesn't always come from cruelty. Often it comes from comparison. One child is labeled the smart one, another becomes the responsible one, another is the talented one, and someone else quietly becomes the one who will be fine. Parents rarely say this out loud. They don't intend harm, but attention follows urgency, praise follows visibility, and over time, one sibling receives emotional investment while another receives assumptions. The assumption that you don't need as much, the assumption that you're strong, the assumption that you'll manage on your own. But the human brain doesn't thrive on assumptions, it thrives on recognition. When recognition is missing, the brain fills the gap with self-questioning. Children are meaning-making machines. They don't think, my caregivers are overwhelmed. They think, something about me must not be enough. And that belief doesn't disappear when childhood ends. It matures. It disguises itself. It follows you into adulthood under new names: self-reliance, low expectations, emotional independence. On the surface, the undervalued sibling often looks capable, calm, easygoing, low maintenance. Inside, there's a quiet negotiation constantly happening. Don't ask for too much, don't take up space, don't need what others need. Psychologically, this creates a strange internal split. One part of you becomes hyper-responsible, another remains emotionally hungry, but unsure if it's allowed to be. You learn to minimize your needs, not because you don't have them, but because expressing them once didn't change anything, and the brain adapts. Research in developmental psychology shows that children who receive inconsistent emotional validation often develop heightened self-monitoring. They become very good at reading rooms, sensing moods, adjusting behavior. This isn't empathy by choice, it's empathy by survival. You learn to become what the environment needs, not what you are. Over time, self-worth becomes conditional. You feel valuable when you are useful, when you help, when you fix, when you stay quiet and stable. But when you're simply present without offering anything, there's discomfort, because somewhere deep inside, your mind still believes love is earned, not given. One of the most painful parts of being the undervalued sibling is that nothing bad enough happened. There's no clear event to point to, no moment where you were pushed away, just absence. And absence is harder to grieve than pain, because pain validates itself. Absence makes you doubt your perception. You wonder, am I exaggerating? You tell yourself, others had it worse. You dismiss your own experience before anyone else can. This self-invalidation often becomes internalized. You downplay your achievements. You feel uncomfortable being celebrated. Compliments feel foreign, almost suspicious. Your nervous system learned early that being seen didn't last, so it doesn't fully relax when attention comes your way. There's also a quiet anger many undervalued siblings carry. Not explosive, not loud, dull, heavy, lingering. Anger not just at caregivers, but at yourself. Why didn't I speak up? Why didn't I ask for more? Why was I always the one to understand? But a child shouldn't have to demand care. They shouldn't have to compete for emotional presence. What often happens instead is emotional outsourcing. The undervalued sibling becomes the listener, the supporter, the emotional container. You learn how to hold space long before anyone holds space for you. In adulthood, this can shape your relationships. People value your reliability, your stability, your strength, but they don't always cherish your inner world. People come to you with their problems. They lean on you. They trust you, but they don't always ask how you are. And when they do, you don't always know how to answer, because you learned early that your feelings were secondary, optional, something to manage quietly. Psychologists sometimes call this emotional invisibility, not neglect in an obvious way, but in a subtle, ongoing way. It doesn't create chaos, it creates self-erasure. You grow up believing that being low impact is a virtue, that needing less makes you easier to love, that independence equals maturity. But emotional independence formed too early isn't independence, it's adaptation. A child who stops asking for comfort isn't healed, they're adjusting. And yet there is strength here too. Undervalued siblings often develop deep introspection. They think deeply. They notice patterns others miss. They question what others accept without reflection. They are emotionally intelligent, even if emotionally exhausted. They understand nuance. They see both sides. They hesitate before judging. But emotional intelligence without emotional nourishment leads to burnout. At some point, usually in adulthood, a reckoning arrives, often after giving too much for too long, often after realizing that being easy came at a cost. That cost is self-connection. You may feel a quiet grief for the version of you that never got to be loud, never got to be messy, never got to be prioritized without justification. And here is the truth that brings both pain and relief. You were not invisible because you lacked value. You were invisible because the system around you didn't know how to distribute attention fairly. Families are emotional ecosystems. They don't always reward depth. They reward urgency, volume, crisis. Those who don't create waves often go unseen. That doesn't make you lesser. It means you adapted. And healing begins when you stop asking why you weren't noticed and start allowing yourself to be seen, to name your needs, to take up space, to believe that your presence alone is enough, because you were never background noise. You were simply quiet in a world that only